I want to talk about Travis Hunter first, and I want to talk about him. So, of course, Travis Hunter, dual threat, wide receiver, cornerback, played both sides of the ball at Colorado. Stands 6 feet, $188. Doesn't have any 40 time. Didn't really participate in drills, and so. But again, he doesn't need to.
No.
His everything out. His film speaks for itself, especially the fact that he was arguably a better corner than he was a receiver. But the fact that he could get away with both at the Division I level, at I don't want to say a top tier conference, but technically it is a Power 5 conference. So it's, listen, I like Travis Hunter. I wanted to get Travis Hunter, obviously, when the reports were it was going to be Ward, Sanders, Carter, 1, 2, 3, done. Hunter falls to New England. Mike, what are your strengths, weaknesses with Travis Hunter? What do you like about it? What do you don't like about his game?
I don't know that I don't like anything. I really think Travis Hunter's special. I think he's the best player in the draft, first of all. And I think that it would do a team a disservice to not try him out on both sides. Mm-hmm. I really think that he has the capabilities of doing so. I think he's the best corner in the draft if you were to simply play him at corner. I think he's the second best wide receiver in the draft if you were to just play wide receiver. So I think that there's a lot of value here. And there's a lot of people that think that Travis Hunter's the best corner in the draft and the best wide receiver in the draft, depending on how they view Ted McMillan. But listen, the kid is just such a natural athlete, and he's such a fluid athlete. Like that's part of it, is that you almost get the feeling that he could rush the passer, right? Because he's just so fluid athletically. He's just such a great, all around football player that you just have a feeling that there's nothing that this kid can't do. Mm-hmm. Obviously, listen, you're 100% right about him. We're he doesn't have a 40 time. The guy didn't test for anything. Why would he? Right? Yeah. There's no need for him to do so. His resume speaks for itself. Heisman winner, all of that stuff. I would imagine that his 40 time would run in the mid 4.3s, right? Maybe up to 4.4 or something like that. But, he would run plenty fast. But his ball tracking skills are just unbelievably good. I'm pretty sure he could play any position in the secondary. He could play corner. He could play safety. He could move around anywhere, move in the slot, whatever. And again, with wide receiver, because he has the experience playing both sides, look, dude, he's just, he finds ways to get open. He's a pretty good route runner. I think whatever team gets him is going to be crazy. And again, it'll be Cleveland. I have a feeling that it'll be Cleveland, but I don't know. I don't know that there's much that I hate about the kid. There's not a lot of stuff that I can ding him for. I think he's one of these rare talents. I don't want to call him I heard Mike Tannenbaum say the other day, this kid's like Michael Jordan. I don't want to do that, but the kid's really good. The kid's really, really, really good.
Yeah. And listen, I think you kind of hit the nail on the head. My thing with him is I think he's extremely slender. I think for his size, 6 feet, if you want to throw him at wide receiver, I think the best way to do that would be to make him the second wide receiver, the Z, just kind of stick to the boundary, or not stick to the boundary, but, be the second guy, and then, of course, you got to play him at corner as well, and he'd be the second corner on the team, which is why I thought it would be great, especially the fact that we just signed Stephon Diggs a couple weeks ago. It would be perfect to have Travis Hunter here in New England because of the fact that, yes, you get a guy who can play both offense, defense, 2 for 1, on top of the fact you have the number one receiver set at Stephon Diggs now. You have your number one cornerback with Christian Gonzalez, who even signed Carlton Davis III. And if we have the number one overall pick, I'm not entirely sure we go after Davis, but even if we do, great. Travis Hunter gets to be the third corner, or Carlton Davis and him can rotate in and out. Right. It would be that type of game plan, and I would enjoy it. I think it would be good. Like I said, I think his slender frame, if he wants to play both sides of the ball, the dude's going to have to bulk up. in order to play and be able to play 70, 80 plays in this league. And I don't think he's going to be playing 80 plays in his first year on a consistent basis. But if that's what he wants to build to, the dude's got to bulk up. So the next guy I want to talk about is, of course, Abdul Carter. Two guys who I think, like I said, the reason why I talk about them first, I don't believe they're going to fall to New England. But Abdul Carter, edge out of Penn State, 6'3", 250, didn't even participate at his pro day. Again, similar to Travis Hunter, hell of a resume, didn't really need to. Mike, strengths, weaknesses, Abdul Carter. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think he's easily the best pass rusher in the draft. I mean, I think you could play him in multiple systems, right?
Mm-hmm.
You could run him as a 4-3 defensive end. I think he's got the body and the athleticism to do that. I think you could play 3-4 outside linebacker if you really want him to as well. Listen, he's freakishly athletic, right? I mean, he's running 4.5, sub 4.5 40s, and at his size, I mean, that's pretty remarkable. I mean, that's really, really solid stuff. For him, he's got just ridiculous explosiveness. He's got tons of bend. He's just a solid player. Something, it's kind of funny. He kind of reminds me a little bit of a young Harold Landry, right? Where he just, as a stand-up pass rushing outside linebacker, it just felt like he got off the line so fast. And that's what Abdul Carter does. The guy's always seems to be in the backfield. He's so fast. He's such a quick first step, sort of explosive kid. Really, really crazy. Now, the thing with him is that Abdul Carter is not 100% refined, right? When it comes to hand usage and coming up with a consistent pass rush repertoire, right? Just refining moves and everything like that. Abdul Carter is not an overly refined talent, right? But his pure burst, his pure athleticism, and the production that we saw from him at Penn State in this past season, you could just see the upside. So I think he's a top-tier talent. Again, this is a draft, Tim, where I don't think that there's a lot of there are not tons of blue chip talents, right? There might only be three, to be honest, maybe 3 or 4, where it's Travis Hunter, Ashton Genty, Abdul Carter, and maybe Mason Graham, if you want to put him in that discussion as well. But other than that, I mean, I think you're just looking at a bunch of really, really good players rather than potential superstar great players. Yeah. I think Abdul Carter has the upside, a lot of what Myles Garrett was, right? Because Myles Garrett was not and I'm not calling him Myles Garrett, but what Myles Garrett was when he was coming out of the draft was he wasn't a refined talent, but his upside was crazy. I get the same feeling about Abdul Carter. I think we're not seeing the best of him right now. I think he's really, really good.
Yeah, and as I mentioned earlier, I think, with the reports coming out, and I wouldn't put it past them, to be this way. But if the dude is, that much of an a-hole and he can't get his head on straight, how long is he going to be in the league? That's the problem with these kids. You might be a hell of a talent, but if you don't have your head on straight, you don't listen to the coaching, and you don't take care of yourself off the field is just as, if not more important than what you do on the field. So if it's true that he is this a-hole personality, that it's all about me, and, get out of my way, I'm going to get the numbers, I'm going to get the sacks, great. But okay, how many times are you going to overrush the quarterback, especially in a league that has so many mobile quarterbacks? That as much as Chandler Jones, Trey Flowers, and a lot of former Patriots hated playing for Bill Belichick because they couldn't, especially come contract time, because they had no numbers to argue against Bill. Part of the thing I enjoyed about his system was, make sure you're playing your gap. You're playing your zone. Don't overrush the quarterback because you want to get the numbers, because all of a sudden they're going to step up in the pocket, shift right to where you were, and they have yards or able to get more time to throw the ball.
Right.
So Abdul Carter, I mean, is if that's his personality, then yes, I am scared of him, even if he does fall to us, which I agree with you. I don't think he will. But again, I wouldn't put it past the Giants for being stupid at the draft.
Well, hey, listen, man, the Giants, I've talked about this till I was blue in the face, but the Giants do not need an edge rusher, but they're looking at Abdul Carter and either moving Kayvon Thibodeau inside or just trading him. So I I don't know, man. It's going to be a really interesting night tomorrow night, but I don't know. We'll see.
And that's the thing I love about these, as much as I don't like being in the position that we're in, because one, I agree with you. I think this draft is full of starters, not full of superstars.
Right.
And that kind of pisses me off. But because the Patriots did it to themselves. They did it to, in a draft where, oh, that's right. This is what you get. You get a starter. You don't get, an all-pro superstar, right?
Right.
But yeah, but in terms of being a fan of the NFL and NFL draft, oh my God, yeah, to see the wheeling and dealing that could possibly go down, like this is the thing that bothers me. Like when you have like the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and it takes an hour and a half, you're like, we already know you made the pick. Can we just hurry it up here?
Let's go. Come on, let's move.
Come on. Yeah,
100%.
All right, the next guy I want to talk about, Ted McMillan, wide receiver out of Arizona, stands 6'4", 219 at his pro day, ran a 4.48. Just my biggest fear, and this, and again, I don't think we're going to take him, but if we trade back and Will Campbell's gone and we want to go wide receiver here, my biggest fear with Ted McMillan is that he is going to be N'Keal Harry 2.0. Why? Because he made a lot of his highlights, a lot of boundary catches, a lot of spectacular catches, in traffic. N'Keal Harry had the same thing at Arizona State. You watch this film. That was the one draft, me and a buddy, we did a whole entire draft board of players, and we had N'Keal Harry at, I think, above average. Meanwhile, we had DK Metcalf, A.J. Brown, like all the top guys from that draft, Terry McLaurin. In our opinion, you couldn't miss at wide receiver. And what do the Patriots do? They took N'Keal Harry and frickin' missed by a country mile. So, Mike, please tell me that Ted McMillan, if the Patriots do take him, please tell me he's not N'Keal Harry 2.0.
I don't think he's N'Keal Harry 2.0. That I can tell you. Listen, man, as a Cowboy fan, okay, I hope he makes it to the Cowboys at 12 because I really want them to, I'd be okay with Matthew Golden as well, but Ted McMillan, I think, is a stud. I think he's a spinning image of Mike Evans. I think he's got an unbelievable catch radius. The ding on Ted McMillan is that he doesn't have top line speed, right? He's not a burner, right? Matthew Golden ran a 4.29 at the combine. Ted McMillan is going to be Ted McMillan runs in the mid 4.4s. So he's going to be, he's not a speed demon, but as a red zone threat, God almighty, can he go up and get a football? First of all, his hands are ridiculous. He has crazy hands. So you're going to see him in the NFL if given the opportunity to do so. He's going to make some really serious highlight catches, first of all. He's going to make plays that shouldn't be made. Drake May, who has, and like I said, I agree with you. I don't think that the Patriots are going to go wide receiver in round 1, but I do think that, like, if that were to happen, Drake May's got a big arm. He overthrows Ted McMillan one of these days. Ted McMillan is going to reach up. Like, Ted McMillan has such an ability to make bad throws work because, first of all, like I said, his hands are crazy. He's got long arms. He's 6'4", right? He's big for a wide receiver. He's a terrific route runner. I actually think for his size, he's a terrific route runner. Good deep threat. There's not much I don't like about him. Like I said, he's not a burner. He's not crazy, crazy fast. But I do think, like if you want an NFL comp to him, I really think that, like, he's, to me, a spitting image of Mike Evans. Like, I really think he's that level of player. I know that there are a lot of teams and a lot of people in the media that are a little bit sour on him. They don't like the fact, they vary on his ability to create separation. They vary on his, how much speed matters and all that stuff. Like, I get all of that. Yeah. But I think as a complete wide receiver, I think he's the best receiver in the draft. Listen, the Patriots could do worse. I think Ted McMillan is a really, I think he's going to be a real good wide receiver in the NFL. And he's the only real receiver in my mind. I shouldn't say only. It's him, Travis Hunter, and Matthew Golden that I think they're the only receivers in the draft that I think have true potential number one receiver upside. Like, those are really the only guys to do that. I love his makeup. I'm a Ted McMillan fan. So, yeah. If you're asking me, I love him. So,
well, I will say this, like, I learned about Ted McMillan, I think a year and a half ago when, his reels or TikTok, whatever the hell he was doing, was going crazy because he was catching balls like in between his legs, kind of doing the, Vince Carter between the leg dunk with the, making the catch. Like, he was just stupid crazy with those.
His hands are ridiculous. I'm telling you, dude, like, this kid's hands are so stupid good. And the best thing about him, Tim, and you're a football guy, so you understand how important this is, right? Yeah. He catches everything in front of his body. Like, he catches everything out. He's not a chest catcher, right? Yep. He catches everything out in front of his body. That makes you so much more valuable. Absolutely. It's just like the kid's natural. It really is. I think he's a really, like, he's borderline blue chip for me, honestly. He's, I haven't made a full big board yet or anything like that, and I don't know that I will, but he'd probably be.
You got less than 24 hours to make that big board. Come on.
I know, right? It's crunch time now, but it's like, I don't know. He'd probably be 6 or 7 on my board. I think he's that good. I think he's really special.
Yeah, and like you said, not a chest catcher. That's, as a receiver, that is massive. The amount of drops that guys have who are studs at receiver in the league, but they catch everything here. Like, they let it hit them and then
get out here. Right.
Like, dude, get your hands out here. The amount of times I'd see wide receiver coaches do this. And it's like, exactly what they're doing, but the receivers instinctively still don't do it. Right. I mean, a great drill that they do in the combines, but I love watching it. What is the ball catching drill where they just run across a straight line and they're here, and that's where you really see, I feel like, okay, are they chest catchers or are they going out and getting the football? So I like you. I like Ted McMillan. If we were, I would say, stable at left tackle, then I'd be fine taking McMillan. I'd be weary as hell just for past experience. N'Keal Harry, like, kill me. Because we could have had freaking A.J. Brown, who wanted to be a Patriot. Thanks, Bill. Oh, yeah, because him and Terry McLaurin were buddy-buddy during the draft visit. That's why – do you know that? That's why we didn't take A.J. Brown or McLaurin. It's because they were chumming it, two buddy-buddy on their draft visit to New England. Like, and I didn't hear about that until, 6 months ago?
That's interesting. Now, Terry McLaurin makes sense. Terry McLaurin was, coming into the draft process. Terry McLaurin was a 4th or 5th rounder,
I loved watching Terry McLaurin's film in college. I was a big Terry McLaurin fan. I think I had Brown, DK Metcalf, and then McLaurin, like 1, 2, 3. Hollywood Brown above the rest, if I remember correctly. But again, we all saw how that worked out.
I know. But
regardless, it was just like when I heard that about McLaurin and Brown, and that's why we didn't draft Brown, I wanted to punch a wall. All right, the next guy I want to talk about, who was rumored to the Patriots for what felt like a half a second, and it made a lot of sense. It was him or Will Campbell, but Mason Graham out of Michigan, defensive tackle, big body, 6'3.5", 296, got 32-inch arms. Again, another small-armed big man, but he was rumored to the Patriots back in January. He's either Will Campbell or this kid. And then all of a sudden, Mason Graham fell off a cliff. Like, no one's talking about him. I doubt New England's going to take him at 4 because we already got Milton Williams. We got Chris Tonga. If Christian Barmore comes back, we're fine there. But Mike, what's the upside of Mason Graham and what's kind of the downside of him?
Yeah, I agree with you. First of all, I don't think Mason Graham's going to the Patriots, and he's one of the more interesting players in the draft as far as where he could end up, because I think so many people, including myself, have him earmarked to the Jags at 5, right? Because it makes sense, right? They need help on the interior of their defensive line, and he fits perfectly with what they need. It makes total sense. But if the Jags went in another direction, they went Kelvin Banks, which I've heard, they took Ashton Genty or something like that, which I've also heard a little bit more recently. Then where does Mason Graham end up? Does he end up falling to the Panthers at 8? Does he end up falling to the Saints at 9? Like, there's a lot of things that can happen with Mason Graham. Yeah. As far as talent, though, this guy is a technician when it comes to his hand usage. This guy is Mike, I'm bringing up Mike Tannenbaum a lot. I shouldn't really be doing that, but what the hell, right? I heard Mike Tannenbaum call him a wrestler, and I think that that's a perfect way to describe him. This guy just throws guys out of the way, okay? Like, his hand usage is unbelievably good. He's got great footwork as far as like lateral agility and lateral quickness and everything like that. For a guy that's like 300 pounds,
yeah.
Like, it's pretty remarkable how quick with his feet he is. Now, he's not like burner fast, right? Like, he ran like a 5.1 or something like that 40. So he's not fast, but boy, does this kid have a quick first step. The issue that I sometimes have with Mason Graham, and this is like death for defensive tackles, is there are times when Mason Graham plays a little upright, right? And that just causes you to get pushed back. Right. Yep. You just have no leverage that way. Yeah, exactly. So there have been tendencies where Mason Graham has done that. But I do think that if he goes to a system like New England, and like I said, I don't think it's going to happen, but if he goes to a system like New England where he's going to play for Mike Vrabel, that's a coachable issue that you can fix, right? Especially with one of these guys who's just such a great hand fighter. Like, I just think the upside is there for him. Listen, I'm big on Mason Graham. I think he's one of the 4 or 5 best players in the whole draft. There's just like a nastiness to him. So I like him. At the very least, early on in his career, I think he's going to translate as a big-time run stopper. And if the pass rushing comes later, then it does. But I'm big into Mason Graham, man. I think, unless you have trauma drafting, Michigan defensive linemen like the Cowboys do, by the way, Mozzie Smith, Taco Charlton, just wanted to throw all those out there. But I think Mason Graham's a different breed. He's a real monster on the inside.
Now, do you think his standing up, his standing up issues, is that more of like he's just tired, or is that just it's first down, fresh? It's a fresh set of downs on a brand new drive, and it just this one play he just gut instinct, or natural to stand up. You know what I'm saying?
I do think it's a little tied to conditioning. I think he does. That's not to say he's out of shape. He's certainly not out of shape. But after a while, you've been in the game for 4 or 5 straight plays. Yeah. The fatigue starts to set in. Once he gets into that sort of set, he does tend to kind of play up like this, doesn't get down and kind of dig into their offensive line. So,
both sides of the ball, it's all about leverage. It's all about who can get lowest,
Right.
And especially if you're lining up on a center, if you're going to be the nose tackle or the 3 tech, you're going to be going after the guard and the center. And that's where
NFL offensive guards are 330 pounds. Right.
Yeah.
Like, these are big dudes.
Mason Graham's 296. So he's already on the smaller end. But at the same time, if you're going to be smaller, fine. Just make sure you get the damn leverage. Get low. Get underneath.
Yeah.
So that's going to be an interesting one.
He's a true defensive tackle. The one thing I don't love is that I don't think you're getting a lot of versatility with him. I think he's a 3-tech defensive tackle. I think if he puts on a little bit of weight, I think you could see him play more of like a 1-tech in certain packages. But I think right now he's pretty much a stone cold 3-tech hand fighter. Pass rushing develops, run stopper definite. Like that's, I think, kind of the player that you're getting. So I don't know. It's interesting. I think he's a blue chipper. I think he's really, really good because if you could tap into that, the guy's just going to be a wrecker on the inside. So, tons of upside, has a little bit of ways to go, but I think he'll get there.
I gotcha. No, that's good to know. The other guy I want to talk about, kid out of Georgia, Jalen Walker, linebacker,
I love
6'1", 243. Then, nothing at the pro day, but I think, because no pro day because he was hurt with a strained hamstring, I think it was. But everyone's saying that New England should take Jalen Walker over Abdul Carter, especially with all the reports recently about the attitude that Carter has that we've discussed here.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me why that would be a good decision for New England to take Jalen Walker over Abdul Carter.
So the plus side to Jalen Walker, first of all, everything that I've heard about Jalen Walker is that he's a great, 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 great kid. Yeah. So that's the first thing. The other plus side for Jalen Walker is that I think the Patriots could essentially, in any team that drafts him really, could kill two birds with one stone, right? Jalen Walker is he's not a pure edge rusher. He's sort of an edge rusher, hybrid linebacker sort of player. I think you could play him inside if you really want him to.
Really?
He's such a superb athlete. I mean, think about it. I mean, he's, what do you think? I mean, edge rushers nowadays, Tim, are 260, 270 pounds, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, Jalen Walker's 240 pounds, right? And he runs a 4.5.
243.
Yeah. So he's like, the guy's a super, super athlete. So there is something there. He's got tons of bend. Listen, he's one of those, like, if you're playing, especially for the Patriots, right, where they're running stand-up outside linebackers on their defense, he does fit really, really well. Mm-hmm. I think 4 is a little high for him. I love him as a player because I think he provides such good versatility on a defense. You can almost play him anywhere. There's a little bit of Micah Parsons to him. Now, I don't think he's as fast as Micah Parsons is or anything like that, but I do think that as far as versatility, he's a mean tackler. I wouldn't worry about his weight. I think he's going to compete at the next level. There's one thing that kind of like worries me about him, and most of it is just tied to experience. There aren't a lot of starts under his belt, so you're kind of getting a raw player. But as far as upside, I mean, Jalen Walker's got tons of it. I mean, some of the best in the draft. There's a reason why he's kind of skyrocketed up boards over the course of the process. It's because this kid is just such a great athlete, and because they see what the potential is with him. So, listen, I would take Abdul Carter over Jalen Walker, but I think you can make the argument that there are some things that fit better with certain teams where Jalen Walker makes a little bit more sense, even if he has less upside as a pass rusher, but more upside as just kind of a versatile middle of the defense linebacker sort of player. So I like Jalen Walker a lot. He's a really good player. Again, another one of these guys. I don't think it's going to happen, but Jalen Walker's a solid player. Wouldn't be a bad pick.
Yeah, and some of these guys, like it's almost and again, I'm not expecting a Godfather deal for number 4 with this draft, but hell, if you got still a top 10 pick and a first rounder next year, maybe a third rounder or a second rounder the next year, like I don't know, I'd say no. I think that would be kind of a good deal. In which case, if you move back, still in the top 10. You can take a Jalen Walker. You can take a Ted McMillan, right? And I would I would be great with that because then you get an extra first rounder next year. The last guy I want to talk about before we get to Will Campbell is the runner-up to the Heisman. A lot of people said he should have been the Heisman winner, but I don't know. The kid played two ways. Come on, how can you not give him the Heisman?
Oh, dude, we could fight about this all night if you want.
He ran over. Oh, come on. All right. Well, maybe next episode 51. Mike versus Tim. Ashton Gentry, Heisman winner, right?
Yeah, right.
Ashton Gentry, running back out of Boise State, 5'8", 211, stout running back, no 40 time listed, which again, no big deal. But yeah, listen, ran for over 2,000 yards, had over 2,200 all-purpose yards, something crazy like that. Yeah. You know, absolute stud. He balled out. Didn't look his best against Penn State, right?
Yeah, had one game where he struggled a bit, but yes.
But again, I would argue that could have been more of the Boise State team versus versus a true blue blood Penn State bunch of big dudes. Like there was nowhere for Genty to go. But I like Genty. I just have this. I have this thing where unless you're getting a known commodity, which is very, very short list, Derrick Henry, Adrian Peterson, Barry Sanders, Walter Payton, like if you're getting that guy, then fine. You can take him in the first round. Anyone else, a running back should not go in the first round at all. I don't care who it is. No running backs in the first round. Tell me why Ashton Gentry is a different cat and should go in the first round.
Yeah, I listen, Tim, look, Ashton Gentry to me is, I don't know that I put him in the same prospect category. It's damn close, but I don't know that I would, of putting him in the same prospect category of like Ezekiel Elliott or Saquon Barkley when they came out of the draft, right? Saquon Barkley was from an upside perspective, not even production, right? From an upside perspective was like, this is the most talented running back we've ever seen. Okay. And that's not an exaggeration. I mean, there were people that were saying Saquon Barkley was like speed, contact balance, everything, like combination of everything, receiving. This kid is going to be Barry Sanders and Larry Fitzgerald rolled up into one guy. Like it was unbelievable. But, and now finally, now that he's with the Eagles, we're kind of seeing that. Stupid Giants. But the thing about Ashton Gentry is that here's the thing that separates him. Separates him from all the running backs that are left in the class, right? Omarion Hampton, Travion Henderson, Quinshon Judkins, Caleb Johnson, those guys. Okay. Ashton Gentry's contact balance might be the best I've ever seen out of a college player. This kid doesn't fall down. Like, listen, the object of football, Tim, is for you to tackle or bring down the guy who has the ball, right? Ashton Gentry is not good at falling down. Like he's just unbelievable at absorbing contact, bursting through the line, right? Ashton Gentry's not a burner, right? He's not a guy with 4.3 speed, right? He's 4.4, mid 4.4, something like that. Like he's not a burner, but his vision, his ability to see holes, his patience behind the line, right? The fact, again, the two words that you're going to hear over and over with him is contact balance. The guy does not go to the ground. He just does not go to the ground. The guy's like Jim Brown, right? Where just like you saw a million people hit him, but he just doesn't go down. That's the thing that makes Ashton Gentry special. And here's the thing, Tim, like I may not fully agree with the notion that you shouldn't take a running back in the first round. I totally understand that point, only because, like, first of all, running backs don't age well. It's just math, right? Once they get to a certain number of carries in their career, the production just starts to dip, right? Most running backs don't make it for the same level of production onto their second contract. They just don't, right? They just have too many carries.
Not to cut you off, but the fact that I think when Zeke Elliott joined the Patriots 2 years ago and he was 29 years old, I think, blew my mind because you would have thought the guy was 35.
Certainly.
Like, that's, again, talking about running backs at age. That's a perfect example.
Yeah. Zeke had 3 or 4 years where he was the best running back in football and then became a dud, right?
Yeah.
Like that was the course of his career, right? So that's part of it. But so I totally get that. They're easily replaceable, right? Get guys in the second, third, fourth round, doesn't matter. You can find NFL starters, and especially, by the way, in this class. This is an unbelievably deep running back class, even beyond the guys I mentioned before, right? Dylan Sampson. I mean, you're talking about guys that are real legit.
Bo Scatterbo, baby.
Yeah. Listen, Cam Scatterbo Scatterbo might go second round. Like, that kid's good. You know, listen, our Florida guy, right? I don't know if he gets drafted, but Montrell Johnson, right? Like, Montrell Johnson is a draftable player, and he might not get drafted because of how deep this running back class is. It's crazy. So that's part of it. But listen, I think Ashton Genty, he's the second best player in the draft for me. Yep. I think he's an all-time contact balance sort of player. And I think as soon as he walks into the NFL, you're going to see him as a top 5, top 6, top 7 back in the league. I think he's that good. I think he's that much of a difference maker. And I think he could go as high as 5. I think he's really that special.
So let's say he does go to Jacksonville. Do you really think with that team, he can be a top 5, top 6 back?
No.
Because,
look,
it's like that's the only thing.
Everybody's got limitations, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know, Ashton Genty's not God, you know, he can't overcome Jacksonville, but listen, I think, look, no disrespect to Jacksonville, okay?
Oh, all disrespect to Jacksonville. It's a Boston show.
Jacksonville, the Raiders, whoever ends up with him, right? There are certainly situations he could go to, and it's just like, all right, their quarterback stinks, right? Their passing game is not non-existent. Their offensive line is a sham, like, and there's just nothing around him, right? So there's a way where defense is just game plan for him. So if all of that is stacked against you, I understand that. But keep that in mind too. The guy didn't play for Ohio State this year. The guy played for Boise State.
Yeah.
Okay. And Boise State was a solid team this year, but let's be real. Okay. Ashton Genty made Boise State a really good team this year. They would have been nowhere without him. So he's got experience in that area, Tim. I think that kind of helps in a way that he kind of played for I would say, I don't know, a B or a C tier program in comparison to some other teams in college football. So listen, I could talk about Ashton Genty forever, but I think he's that special to me. I'm big on him.
Yeah. No, I mean, listen, he showed a lot. He was a hell of a back this year. It was fun to watch him. Fun to watch season. And I mean, don't get me wrong. I've always held a special place in my heart for Boise State ever since the 07 Fiesta Bowl against Oklahoma, Adrian Peterson's Oklahoma team.
Yep.
I was rooting for them, and then I just fell in love with that blue field that they had. I thought that was so cool.
That's so cool. I wish more teams in college football would do that. Like, I wish Georgia would have like a red.
No.
I wish.
Have you seen Eastern Washington's field? It's all red, and it looks awful. Oh, God. Google Eastern Washington's football field. It is awful. It is bright red. It does not look good at all. Like, that's the one. I mean, maybe if they did red, like a dark red field with the black stripes, again, matching the red and black that Georgia has. I hate Georgia. You know that. Everybody, I think, in the GRYD Network knows that.
Oh, yeah. No, you're right. Okay.
Yep. See, nope. Can't do it. But the blue field at Boise State, I think,
it's
works.
Cool.
It's so cool. But yeah. So Ashton Genty, hell of a player. The last guy on the list, and then Mike, we can say peace to everybody. But it's we got to talk about Will Campbell. I mean, This is the guy that everybody thinks New England is going to be drafting. He's the left tackle out of LSU stands 6'6", 319, and this is where the kicker happens. He's got, allegedly, according to the combine, 32 and 5/8 arms, but as you see in the parentheses, it's 33-inch arms according to his pro day. So, is he worth picking at 4 because again, short arms is everything, and not for nothing, as you mentioned earlier, and I'm kind of on this bandwagon myself. I think Will Campbell's a stud. I think that he will be an all-pro offensive lineman in this league. The one problem is that position might be a guard. And I'm sorry, I don't want to take an all-pro guard at number 4. I want an all-pro left tackle. And the problem is there's no Joe Altz in this draft. There is no Matt Light was the second overall pick, but he was a very good left tackle himself. There's no Ronnie Stanley's, at that position. So, again, why should New England take Will Campbell at 4?
Well, let me ask you something, Timmy. Do you think Will Campbell's going to be an all-pro player?
Yes, at guard.
Then you take him at 4. Okay. Because listen, look, and I get it, right? Like you're picking at 4, you want your future left tackle. I understand all that. First of all,
just keep talking.
I think Will Campbell's going to be a star left tackle. I do. I like, if I were to put money on it now, I think Will Campbell will be a top tier left tackle. The other thing is though, is that see, we switched places. Now it's screwing me up. I don't like it. But like, Timmy, let me ask you this then.
Yeah.
If I were to give you the opportunity that, knowing the career that he had, right? And I'll say this as a Cowboy fan, right? 4th overall, you have the opportunity to take Zach Martin. Would you? Because I would.
With this, yeah, especially if for this Patriots team, absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely, you would take Zach. Zach Martin's a future Hall of Famer. Now, I'm not putting that kind of pressure on Will Campbell because I'm not going to say that he's going to be a future Hall of Famer. But I do think that as far as talent is concerned, I think he's the best offensive lineman overall in the draft. I think I like him better than Armand Membo, right? And I would rather look at his ability, like, I would rather look at that, like, we're unsure if he's going to play tackle. I'd rather look at that as versatility rather than a limitation, right? Because I think he can do both. That's the thing, is I understand the short arm thing, but this kid is mean. He's mean. Okay. His hand placement is his hand placement's crazy. He's got crazy quick feet, right? Like, the guy punches you. I said that before. Like, the guy just punches people. He's such a tough kid. Just unbelievable recovery ability. He's just such a good, polished offensive. Like, the guy's going to start at left tackle tomorrow. He just is. Like, he's going to be so good in this league. This is where, like, and I don't want to call it overthinking because some of these things do matter. But of all the things that you've seen, all the tape, all the production, everything else that Will Campbell has, right? Everybody loves Will Campbell in the interviews, right? He interviews super, super well. He's a mature kid, all of that stuff. If arm length is the thing that deters you, I think that's a real problem. Like, that's an organizational issue, because I really think that everything else that Will Campbell has is, like, that's something that you see in franchise tackles, franchise offensive linemen. So, listen, I would say, listen, if you draft Will Campbell, you try him out at tackle. If it doesn't work out at tackle, you have yourself an all-pro guard, right? You have yourself an all-pro guard, right? If Quentin Nelson was there at number 4, you would take Quentin Nelson. If Zach Martin was there at number 4, you would take Zach Martin, right? Yeah. He's gonna be, if he has to play guard, he's gonna be that. He's gonna be a terrific NFL guard. So, worst comes to worst, you're getting a Pro Bowl guard. Best case scenario, you're getting a franchise left tackle. To me, it's worth the number 4 pick.
Well, funny enough, Quentin Nelson did go 6th. So
that's what I'm saying. It's like,
yeah.
it makes sense to do all of this. You know what I mean?
Well,
So,
and I get it. And listen, like when I wasn't sold on Will Campbell and his arm length until I heard him talk and until I heard him say, or just kind of, I don't want to say bitch or complain because it just sounds like it's a negative connotation, but he just sounded angry and pissed off. Like, the hell is this week? We've never talked about my arm length, and I've played 3 years, every game practically, at one of the best schools in college for college football, period. And
he was really good at LSU, right? Like,
really,
it wasn't a production issue there. Like, arm length didn't bother him in college.
Exactly. So that's why but like listening to him talk and kind of get pissed off and angry about it, that sold me. That was kind of like, ooh, all right, maybe, because again, you can't teach me. One of my favorite offensive linemen in history was an offensive lineman who never won a Super Bowl. That was Logan Mankins. When he played for us between 05 and 2013, he was awesome. Again, just a country boy who just knocked you on your face, and he was mean. And that's what I love about it. And again, it's kind of like, what we used to say, you can't teach size. You just can't. And that's where some guys, you're kind of sitting there going, all right, yeah, you can't teach it. And so you go for it because you can develop the rest of it. And yeah, I mean, I think my only issue is, again, he's going to start playing left tackle. I mean, look at the friggin' roster that he's going to be going up against. Friggin' Vidarian Lowe and Caden Wallace at left tackle. Yeah, he's our starting left tackle. Like, come on now. But with that being said, I do wonder again, how long until he gets moved in? How long is he potentially going to be a what's the word I'm looking for? I don't know if it's the right word, but like a hindrance. Where is he gonna, because of his short arms, is a Myles Garrett going to take advantage of that and go right by him? Because again,
Myles Garrett takes advantage of everybody. let's be honest. There's no stopping Myles Garrett at all.
No, and yes, of course, I throw like a big name out there, but again, it goes to show that there are plenty of good defensive ends in the SEC.
Yes,
who never play at the next level.
Right.
So, and those are the guys, and quite a number of those guys he was going up against. I'm not trying to discredit him or the SEC, but every single guy who's playing defensive end who's going to be going up against Will Campbell, they deserve to be there, and they're going to be a hell of a lot better than some of the guys that he's seen down in the SEC. So I hope, I mean, listen, I think it's a foregone conclusion now that we do take Will Campbell, and I'm going to be okay with it. I'm not going to be jumping up and down in my chair going, oh my God, like, let's go. Ideally at 4, if Hunter, Carter are gone, I would love to see, like Brian Baldinger mentioned late yesterday, that he sees a potential top 5 trade or somebody traded into the top 5 tomorrow. So I would love to see that happen. I would love for us to be the team that trades out. And then if we get Will Campbell, let's say at 8, or 10, great. Then I will then jump up and down for joy. I just, again, I want to make sure that everything is going to work itself out. And I do believe that he will be an all-pro in this league.
Yeah.
I just think that he's going to be an all-pro at guard, and as much as I love that, talent-wise, I'm just not sure that, that means we're still short a stud left tackle, and that scares me.
I understand it. I do. I get it. But at the same time, Timmy, you need you need help on this offensive line,
Oh,
regardless of where you
absolutely.
get it, right?
Oh, no
And
doubt.
like I said, like Will Campbell, if you want my honest opinion, right,
Yeah.
as a draft expert, right, that I'm
Don't
so highly touted to
don't
be in the
degrade
draft.
yourself, Mike Guido. Don't
But
degrade yourself. You're a draft expert.
I
Great
I
draft expert.
I think Will Campbell's a left tackle in this league. Like I really do. I think the league thinks so too. Like that's I think a part of this that that people miss sometimes is that Will Campbell is still a projected top 5 pick. He's still a projected top 10 pick, not because he has short arms.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like,
The rest
Will Campbell's gonna be good. And
Yeah.
I think at tackle, he's gonna be good, right? There's a reason why, and I understand why he was getting pissed off. He, like you said, the guy played forever at LSU, right? And we not once heard anything about his arm length. But all of a sudden, in the last month and a half, we've had to hear about how Will Campbell has short arms and he's probably going to have to kick into guard. Like, who said that? Like, I don't know. I don't know that the league is saying that. Everything that I hear from the media is like, okay, maybe.
Mike,
but,
you know what it is? It's all these other so-called draft experts.
Yeah, right. It's the other me's. It's the other me and EJ Savages. It's those guys.
It's not you. It's not you or EJ. It's the other draft experts.
I think EJ. Listen, even EJ is concerned that he might have to kick into guard. I don't think so, though. I genuinely believe that he will play left tackle in this league, and he will play left tackle very, very well.
Okay. Well, frequent comment to Sports Mom. Congrats on 50 shows on the GRYD Network. I think Campbell is going to the Patriots.